Hey y'all. All right. How you doing today? I hope everything's going well for you. Okay. All right. It's been a little bit since I've been out here and made a video. I do realize that, and my apologies to you all. But I wanted this video to be. There's just been a lot of stuff going on, and I don't like to make these videos when things are compromised. You know, if I don't have enough time, or I'm not feeling well, or you know, I don't have the necessary parts or pieces or tools or equipment or whatever. You know, I don't like making those kind of videos when things are compromised. However, today is a little bit different story. First of all, let me go ahead and say thank you. Thank you to all of you all, because the channel is now up to 790 subscribers. That is massive. I'm simply blown away. I really don't have any words to really put it out there to you and to show you, to tell you how much I appreciate what you do. That you turn to me for technical advice on Mopars and stuff like that, and vehicles. But and I seriously do appreciate that, and I will continue to appreciate that. And but I'm going to continue to make videos as long as I possibly can. Here lately, been fighting, been on vacation, and then came back from vacation. Everybody was sick, and still we're battling sickness, and then work has been just kind of crazy and all over the place. The weather's not necessarily, sometimes it's been really humid or really hot. So anyway, not giving you excuses, I'm just telling you that's what's been going on. So alright, so let's get into it. Okay, this video is going to be about just answering technical questions. Okay, some of you all have posted questions. Some of these questions have been out there for a little while, and my apologies for not answering these questions sooner. But I wanted to basically make a video to talk more about these questions, to address them, and basically tell you all more about them, more about that particular subject. All right. First, let's just get a few things out of the way. One, had a viewer post a question about 323 geared 489 center section, if it was for sale. It is not. As a matter of fact, there's not much in here really that is for sale. I've had a lot of issues trying to sell stuff. You know, people are, you tell them, you have a very accurate, complete description of something, and let's say Craigslist or something, or what have you, or Wish or whatever, and people still ask you silly questions. I was trying to sell motorcycle parts one time, and somebody was just, barraged me with all these questions about it, and I took pictures of what was for sale, and I said, "This is it. This is all I have." And they were constantly questioning me about, like, do you have the forks? Do you have the engine? Do you have this? Do you have that? No, I don't. Go back and read the text. This is all I've got. Unfortunately, I wound up just crushing nearly every part of that motorcycle. But all I had was just the frame and a couple other odds and ends. So, I wound up crushing it, because it wasn't, I could never sell it to anybody. I couldn't hardly even give the damn thing away. I'd just about have to probably pay somebody to take it. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. Moving on. Dual point distributors. Don't really have, I would love to make a video about that. I really do, really will. I will make a video about it, and I would love to already put one out about it, but I don't have any dual point distributors. I will try to get one, buy one. If I have to, I will borrow one and put it here on the channel, and I will set it up here on the device and get it set up just like all the other distributors I've done in the past. Show you how to wire it, get it to working, and everything like that. I do that on the workbench on the device because I feel as though it just breaks it all down instead of like looking at a wiring diagram and becoming in a manual and look at it, or reading some instructions that somebody has made, but they don't, maybe it doesn't click for them. Well, sometimes I think that when you put it out here in as simple a form as possible, it tends to make things a little bit more understandable. All right, so now as soon as I can, I will be making a video about that, but right now just don't have one, and that's just the way it is. Okay, so moving on. All right, let's see. Wiring up a car from points ignition to electronic ignition, converting it from one to the other. I've done the electronic ignition distributor, just like I said, just like I was mentioning with the dual point distributor. I've done one of those on the bench here. I broke it down. If you go back and just look at that video, it should tell you everything you need to know. Not only that, there are bunches and bunches. There's a lot. It's mind-blowing how many wiring diagrams there are out there to wire up the Mopar electronic ignition. Okay? Use every resource possible. Okay? Whether it's, my videos, somebody else's videos, wiring diagrams in the manuals, whatever, use whatever resources are available to you. Don't, section yourself off to like, one person making a video or one company making the diagram, or something like that. Use everything, because sometimes some of the diagrams may not have all of the details. But if I come upon, right now I don't have anything that was points and is now electronic ignition. The only thing that would qualify would be this car here, but I've already converted it to electronic ignition. But it's not really too terribly complex. It's just not. Okay? But maybe sometime in the very near future, I will, I've got a 318, the $50 318. It's points right now. I may just go ahead and set that thing up for electronic ignition. And maybe that would help get some of you all a better idea of how to go about doing that. Now, let me give you a little preface, though, a little preview here. When I do an electronic ignition, I don't use a kit from anybody. Some people will buy the kit, they will have all the bits and pieces in it. I don't do that. I tend to use parts and pieces, sometimes used, sometimes new, that I will buy and then assemble them all together and then have basically the kit. Okay? I will go ahead and recommend one thing. When you do go to the Mopar style electronic ignition, try to use a coil that has internally regulated, internally ballasted. Okay? Do not try to stay away from the factory type coil like this that has to have the ballast resistor and is regulated down to 6 to 7 volts. Okay? Now, they will work just fine. It's just that lots of times trying to get a good ballast resistor is like trying to find, you know, hen's teeth, you know, chicken's teeth. It's just so infuriating. It's very frustrating. So, do yourself a huge favor. Get yourself a internally regulated coil and just run straight 12 volts to it and you're good to go. Okay? Now, oh, we've got Oliver in here with us. Okay, so, all right. Let's see. Now we need to go on to control arm bushings in the 04 Dodge Ram. A lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but one viewer posted a question, you know, did I change the control arm bushings and have I made a video on it? I did not change them. They did not need to be changed. And so, therefore, I haven't made a video on it. But I will tell you that changing out the control arm bushings, there's a lot of grunt work. It's physically difficult. Okay, but it is doable by the home mechanic. Okay, it's not terribly complex, but I will give you a few little hints. Okay, and some tips. One, you're going to need yourself a good manual covering your vehicle. Okay, now these are just some manuals I just grabbed real quick. Here's another one to give you an example. Get into books, figure out, the best way to do it. You'll notice I've even got a tool here to press out the bushings and press in the new ones. It's kind of incomplete. It's not a complete set. But I did go get this one. It's a master ball joint installer and remover. Now, you can sometimes use these to get the bushings in and out, because look, it has all of these extra sleeves. Okay, so to press bushings out or push new ones in, and that sort of stuff. It's for ball joints, but you can use it you can use a set like this on the control arm bushings as well. If you are doing that, if you're doing that kind of job, you can go to like AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts and rent these kits. Oh, I have a little bird in here. Okay, so I've got a little wildlife going on here. Okay. Alrighty. But anyway, also, when you're doing it, lubricate it. Clean this up and lubricate it, okay? Don't let this run. Don't try to do this dry. Okay? And there we see Oliver looking for the bird. Okay. All right. Now, on to our next thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of things here real quickly while I unwrap my 360, because there's one other thing we need to talk about. All right. 318 blocks. I posted a video a while back about the 318 and performance changes you can make that will, changes you can make to enhance the performance of the 318, which are inexpensive and easy to do. This is still something you can go back and watch that video. I'm pretty happy with it. But let me go ahead and talk to you real quickly about 318 blocks. Okay, now I just got to check the camera here and make sure. Okay, 318 blocks. This is basically if you're building a 318, okay, for, I'd say anything above, I'd say anything above 500 horsepower, you really need to start thinking about maybe even start thinking about being a little more selective about your blocks. If you're new to this, if you're new to the Mopar world, here's just a few little things to help. One is that all of your Mopar blocks are going to be cast with a high amount of nickel in the blocks and in the cylinder heads as well. Their castings are usually really, really good quality. Don't have a lot of core shift or anything like that. You're also going to notice, you're also going to notice that all of the Mopar LA blocks, there's basically one style of block. They didn't change the block a hell of a lot to go from 273 all the way to 360. Okay? So, they did very little to change them. And really, the block was really, really similar to the old Poly 318 block from years prior. Now, if you're looking, you're thinking about, building a high horsepower 318, you're wanting to get up there to, let's say you want to get up there 500 horsepower or more. Things you need to be looking for is like just overall general condition of the block. And this is something you need to be doing regardless of what kind of engine you're building. If you got like the block that originally came out of a particular car or something like that, then all of this is probably not going to be that much for you. However, if you're going drag racing, you want to build a 318, you've got maybe 2 or 3 of them, and you're thinking, what's a good year to pick? Is there one that's going to be better than the rest of them? Is the 318-3 going to be better than a regular 318 from the same model year? The 318-3 is going to be a little bit better, but it's the amount. It's so small. The amount of, it's better, but it's not better by a tremendous amount. You see where I'm going? Sure, you can go and you can beat the bushes and you can find a 318-3 block, but let me tell you something. 99% of the time, you're not going to need it. You really aren't. I mean, I've seen a lot of 318s race in like really rough conditions and survive. Usually when a Mopar like throws a rod, when they throw a rod, usually it will come through the oil pan. It doesn't usually come through the block. Okay? I know I did that once years ago. I was on a 273 and it threw a rod. It didn't go through the block. It made a hole in the oil pan though. So, guilty. So, however, that block got repaired or got machined and is awaiting assembly. So, but really, I would be checking stuff like, cylinder bores, overall cylinder bore condition. Are they tapered? Are they straight? Is there like pitting in the cylinder walls? Is there, is there any cracks in the block? That sort of thing. And that's something I've never seen a Mopar block crack. Never. I just haven't. Okay. Oh, wait, I'll take that back. There was a 360 that I saw one time. It did have a crack, but there was a very very well done repair done on the block. Welding, they welded it right back up, and it was good to go. Now, for those of you in the more northern climates, you may have seen quite a few more engines and Mopars that have been frozen and cracked. Me, I haven't seen that many. As a matter of fact, like I said, I've only seen one. So, yeah, basically just checking all of the things that you would normally check. There are companies that have made like 4-bolt main caps for the Mopar small block for like the 340, which will work on the 318 as well. You just need to get the block drilled to accept it. It's, as far as, the 318.3 goes, the one big benefit to the 318.3 is not so much the block itself, but its components inside of it. You're talking about like a forged steel crank usually, and usually forged steel connecting rods, pretty strong rods too. That sort of stuff. Usually there's going to be modifications to like the intake manifold. It's going to be a 2-barrel, but it'll be like have modifications done to it to enhance the water flow for heavy duty use. Time out for just a minute. I gotta get a drink. All right, so yeah, as far as like performance building, maybe you're wanting to find a 318.3 block, and maybe you even go and find let's say a D600 or a D500 or something like that. I've pulled I actually used to own a D500. It was a rust bucket, and I pulled the 318 out of it, and guess what? It was a regular 318. And it was the factory 318 block. So there was no changes. It's lots of times, the manufacturers, especially back in the day, they would make so many engines, and let's say they, for whatever reason, didn't use up all of those engines. They would just save them, put them in the next year's models, or let's say they had a run of they were producing a run of D600 trucks or D500 or D700 series trucks, and they needed a 318 to go in there. Hey, wait a minute, we can use a 318-1. We'll do it. So that's what they did. So, but as far as getting steel cranks in a lot of the 318s and other Mopar LA engines, it's not that hard. You will find them. Okay, I've got one or two myself, maybe more right now. They're pretty easy to find, really. They're not terribly hard to find. And now, however, though, don't discount the cast cranks, because they're not cast iron, they're cast steel. Okay, and usually the quality of those, just like the blocks and the heads, usually the quality on those is usually pretty good. So that's what I'm talking about. Okay, all right. I need to address one other issue, one more issue. Okay, and that is this actually should be over here. Okay, and this should be over here. I've got the rocker shafts wrong. Okay. To address a viewer's question, is there a right or a left? There is not. There is only one way the rocker shafts are supposed to go. However, they can be bolted on either way. Excuse me. So I messed up and bolted these on incorrectly. My fault. I'm owning it. Okay. But I'm going to take this opportunity to just take them back off and redo them, and that will be that. But tell you what, let's just look it up here. Okay. Whoops. I'll just look it up here in engine building, and give me just a second here. Okay, y'all. I don't know if you can. I hope you can see this. Let's see. The rocker arm shaft should be installed with a notch on the left side shaft pointing to the center line and front of the engine, and the notch on the right side shaft pointing to the center line and the rear of the engine. Okay. All right. Let's see that there. So let's just go over here. Let's see. Left side is at the front. Right side is pointing to the rear. So let's go back to our text again. Let's read it again. I don't want to. Rocker arm shaft should be installed with the notch on the left side shaft pointing to the center line and front of the engine. Here's the left side of the engine. Rocker shaft right there. Okay. So let's go back over here. And the notch on the right side shaft pointing to the center line and the rear of the engine. So, there we go. There's the notch right there. And here's the notch right here. Okay. I think that is solved. As much as I think that little issue is solved right there. Okay. Alrighty. Well, you know what? I'm going to take them off anyway because I've got some cam lube that I went and bought. It is a moly-based lube. Yeah. So I'm going to use this on the lifter, put this on the lifters and the cam lobes, and get them lubricated. So I'm not entirely happy with that red lube. It seems to just want to like drip off. I want something that's a little stickier, like this stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. All right. So I'm noticing that the video is getting up there close to like the 30-minute mark, and so I'm going to break this video off. And I want to tell you thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Oh man. Oh, one other question. One of my longtime viewers, he posted a question about the phone. Did I get my phone issues worked out? Yes, I did. However, I went with a Google Pixel phone rather than the which operates on an Android system. But there are a couple of little differences, and when you're like me and you're making videos, some of these differences are difficult. Like what you just observed here. I turned the camera around manually by hand. My old Samsung Android phone had the ability when I'm recording to do that just by tapping a button on the screen. This one doesn't. So if you're like me and you're making videos, I don't recommend the Galaxy Pixel phone. The quality of the picture, though, in the video and the sound is really good. But so was the Samsung. So, yeah, I guess it's what you prefer. All right. So anyway, I'm going to end this video, and I appreciate you all for watching. I appreciate the likes and the shares and the subscribes and all of that. And I thank you so much. And I'm just going to put this question out there. If you all want to see shirts, slant fish or something like that on there, I notice this is the Slant 6 Racing shirt. If you want to see something like that, if you'd be interested in something like that, put it down below there in the comment section. I'll be really happy to. Maybe we can look into this and come up with something. Okay? All right. Thank you very much for watching. God bless. Have a great one. See y'all later.